Audio on, cut, or merge, that works too. And here we are. Welcome back, everyone, to the... You still got to get everybody in lobby.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone,
Just
to...
gotta hit a quick stretch real quick.
That's true, that's
Gotta
true.
Get ready for this super long series.
This is going to be a long one. Welcome back to ESO's Northeast Regionals. Thank you for tuning in all day. If you have been, we've reached the grand finals of our Overwatch set, and it has been a full day of games, of upsets, just really of everything. Our grand finals match is going to be a matchup between Barberton and Akron-Stem, and while both these teams have been very good, Barberton has the interesting storyline of getting what numerically were 2 upset wins to make it to this point. They upset number 4 Avon 3-1 and number 1 Warren 3-0. And a BO7 against Akron-Stem, who's seeded number 2, they're looking to keep that streak alive and go for 3 upsets in their regionals to claim number 1 in Northeast. Now, a big thing about these matches is that at this point, both these teams have qualified to states. You're watching our grand finals right now, so they are at the top. They have made it at this point. What you're playing now for is you're playing for seeding. You're playing for an easier group. And both these teams, they play competitive series all day. I know for a fact when they want to get to states, because this is how I was when I was in ESO, we wanted that easy bracket because you just want a day where you can you have to try, but you can cruise. You know, you can throw the gas on, just throw it in cruise and just run through teams. You're still going to have to try, but it's going to be way easier than having to fight 2 1 seeds to not have to play another high seed from a separate region. So at this point, these guys are they've been playing all day. They've got the juices flowing. It's just seeing if it's all going to come together in this grand finals.
Yeah, and it's been a very long day and a very exciting day. These teams have been at it like crazy, and the matches have been neck and neck. They've been map 5 series, map 4 series throughout the entire day. These have been very hard fought battles, and I'm super excited to see this final come close.
I'm super excited to see it too. I think we've got by numbers 2 of the best teams in Northeast. And as we look towards our series, I believe everybody is set as far as you know, all the lobby and everything. So we should be getting into our first set right about now. So thank you for tuning in. Let's get it rolling.
Let's get the ball rolling indeed. And we're brought to our first map here, Lijiang Tower.
Now, both of us are Overwatch players here. Andreas right now is main support or flex for
flex support.
Flex support for our main team, and I am our, I guess, main DPS for our academy. So we both have some experience. So at a high level, what are you expecting to see out of 2 of the best teams in the state?
On here, I would really love to see either the rush style, on guard in particular, either the rush style of play or something with a little bit of divey, maybe some Doomfist shenanigans. But I haven't seen a lot of Doomfist in the games today.
It's a disappointment. I know our tank player would be disappointed to be seeing no Doom, and even our Genji player would be disappointed to see no Doom.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, Satiny, the Satiny deadlift tank player, he would be very excited to see all the JQ today.
The
JQ play today has been absolutely monstrous, and I am really excited to see Dr. Washboard pull it out again.
I'm excited to see it too. I think it's interesting when you look at these comps. Both of them have a lot of pace. It's interesting to see the minute differences from the side of Akron-Stem. We've got that Genji in your flex deeps, and you've got your Kiri in that role. And along with that, we've got the Moira and the Mei. But aside from that, both these teams playing a very aggro style, and we can see that in the first point with Akron-Stem being able to push out and pull back in is going to get punished for that bit of aggression. And it seems that they may be pushing a little bit too far, giving themselves up a little bit too early. Barberton looking to capitalize on this opening, and it appears that they will. They forced almost everyone out of the point, and all that are left are some squishies that they can just clean up very easily. And it's looking like Barberton should be capping this point first and looking to get an early points lead.
They're working on the cleanup there. I was going to try and read the justification for running the Sigma and going the white room on this, but I guess they showed it up. They were just able to find the space there, take the space onto the Queen. and it was looking a little rough now, but let's see how they take this re-engage with the Mailed.
I think the other thing with this to note that's probably going to make this pick so much better for the side of Barberton with the Sigma is no beam players. They're all actual things that can get eaten by that Vortex. So Sigma has a essentially get out of jail card. That Pulse Bomb coming out from the side of that was from Akron-Stem, I believe, could be a massive tide turner. And we've got a little bit of back and forth here. We're looking to see some sort of clean pull ahead as it's been going 1-1. We're looking to see potentially the DPS of Akron-Stem be able to get that opening. And it appears that they actually already have, being able to force the full of Barberton off the point and be able to capture this point, getting themselves a little bit of some points here. But Barberton quickly fights back and wins this point back, giving Akron-Stem a little bit of space, but
and
not letting
Angel
him push the needle.
Hitting that absolutely massive, fat massive boop onto the Queen to kind of open up that point after it had been flipped. They're only able to secure 22%.
Yeah.
But at very little cost, trying to drain a lot of the resources here. We're going to be matching 4 ults into 4 ults very soon.
It will be very soon. We're going to see that May ult come out again. It'll be interesting to see if it's used in the same spot as it was last time. And the 1-for-1 trade, Monk into Angel, that's an impressive 1-to-1. And Barberton able to quickly fight back. It looked like that trade will not mean anything in the grand scheme of things.
Morbo and Tommy, though, combining the May ult with the Coalescence, just making sure that that fight ends very cleanly. And I'm not entirely sure how the DPS of Akron got caught up, but now Monk is on Cass. And this is exactly why I wanted to swap to this guy. This guy has been putting up a performance on the hitscan Cass this game, this entire day.
Yep. I'm expecting big things. I've been hearing big things, even though I haven't been able to be here a ton. I was walking in and I was hearing some rumors about this guy, and we're seeing why he's on the cast right now. Big damage, big kills, massive finds here and there. He's playing just for fun, dude. He is just clicking on heads.
You watch this guy, and it's almost like his bullets are heat-seeking on this character. I swear, throughout the entire series, he's maybe missed 20% of his shots.
Yeah.
At least that's what it feels like. And he's so aggressive, he's so confident in his ability to hit these shots too, that he's willing to play up with the Queen, and he's willing to take the front line a little bit.
Another thing that I'm seeing that's really interesting to see with all of this aggro play is a complete lack of reliance on the right click. He is just clicking on heads. He is not relying on any sort of fanning the hammer or any sort of up-close shenanigans. He will just go up in your face and click on your head 3 times, and you're gone.
And if you have the ability, if you have the mechanical ability to do that, then there's no reason not to do that, which is why I'm a little surprised they haven't stuck Monk onto this Cassidy for more games. We've been seeing a lot of flexibility from this player.
I think potentially trying to look towards something that could give them a little bit more pressure overall. This ult is barely going to be finding the head of Tracer, and now that backline, this brawl in White Room, Monk is just getting a free place to play here. He's just looking into the room. No one's staring at him, and he is just getting impact.
But with this playstyle, they're more than happy to just let Monk sit on the back line while they brawl up front. And it seems when he goes forward a little bit, trying to help, that's kind of when they pinch in and punish. And this is going to be a very last-second touch here. Levi going for the blade for the touch. He does have it.
The blade from Levi is going to get a little bit of...
Lucio.
It's going to get a little bit of stall, but the rest of the team is able to get there. One still left on point. It's going to be that Lucio, and I don't believe anybody's going to be in place to touch. And even though a great swap on from Cass from Monk, that is going to be round 1 going Barberton's way. But still...
They trickle down. A final score of 89 to 100.
This is a competitive series.
It's already going to be a very competitive match.
This is a cakewalk from no one, and even if it is going to be looking like dominant score lines, it is going to be nothing but, I can tell you, these teams are going to be fighting.
Now, someone's perspective I want to take a little bit into further consideration is Funeral on the Sigma. Sigma is an extremely untraditional pick for control points, but they're making it work. They just secured Gardens, even though it was close, they still secured it.
Ooh, and we see that Ram swap last second. I don't know if that was potentially some some second guessing it, or if it was just a more tactical call for this playstyle here.
That's the voodoo magic from the caster cursing.
Voodoo magic. The other things that I'm looking across the board, and I'm looking towards these swaps, kind of seeing what exactly is being brought out by these teams in place. Looking towards the side of Barberton, that swap from the Trace onto the Reap, I'm interested to see how that's going to play in. And on the side of Akron-Stem, we've got the swap onto the Echo from the Trace. Another like Tracer swap off, which I think may just be symptom of us not playing on Gardens anymore. You can't really get away with the just a single blink over onto point. You have a little bit more that you need to fight through, so potentially feeling like they're going to get more out of these picks, and they're already showing great results. Levi and Monk just kind of cleaning house there, giving Akron-Stem the early lead in percentage, and now it's going to come down to this spawn trap here.
And I wonder if they picked this just due to the fact that they expect them to run Sigma, and they kind of want to play them a slower so the Queen can go in the face, the Echo can get angles alongside Monk, and they can just kind of play these longer engages and wait for the Sigma to burn cooldowns. Another
thing that I think about with the Echo swap here is actually what's brought out right there, the beam. Using that on a Sigma, especially when most Sigmas pop their Vortex at low health when they're under a lot of pressure, that beam is just going to chunk through him, and that Vortex isn't going to do anything to stop it.
It's a lot of respectable damage, and on the side of Barberton, without having any sort of immortality, no Baptiste, no Kiriko Suzu, it's something you can take advantage of and really melt the Sigma down.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'll have to... In due time, we'll see exactly why the swaps were made, and we're going to be seeing Levi actually get its first ult and pop it into the Sigma, looking for kind of a replication of the pressure. It won't do a ton here as the ult is unable to find any ults. I stand corrected, which might...
Ooh, but it cancels very last second.
Barely not going to find anything. And with that, what I thought was going to be a fight win for Barberton is actually going to be Akron-Stem battling back, keeping this 72-0. Barberton is going to get one final push, and they need to make the most of it.
They're able to stabilize heavy with the Kiriko and the Lucio beat as well, while retaining their JQ ult, which it's very powerful, but Angel does have the beat to respond. We will see how the DPS want to play around with their Flux here to guys. Instead, they're going to go for the Beat Gaze just to try and force point.
And with 90 seconds left, we're going to need to seeing some push onto point. That chase onto somebody who is left out there was good. The May ult invested here onto the point, but we see that ult come out from Akron-Stem and get a ton of control. Levi with a double bomb kill. Monk cleans it up, and there's one guy left, and he is all but gone. And that is Akron-Stem responding in a massive way.
And having no answer for the Queen ult, I think is quite a misplay. I mean, at the end of it, that's what cost them that. The Queen is able to fly into 5 players. You don't have any beats or any way to cleanse it to be able to live through it. And the other ults just don't find value because the Queen ult hits everyone.
Yeah. Another thing that I think really could have turned that tide, and something that I was looking towards on the side of Barberton, which was if they did or were able to hold off and wait for a response. They had Reaper ult in the back pocket, so it could have been something where if that brawl continued on to point, they really could have gone for that last second Reap ult. And we're going to be seeing some more minimal comp changes here coming out from the side of Barberton. Tommy Boy is going to be back onto the Reap, and we're going to see Parakeet onto the Tracer, which I think is a repeat of the character picks from the first point. Maybe not exactly, but putting Parakeet back onto that Trace, and we're going to be seeing him getting the early pick onto Levi, looking for more backline damage, getting Monk, and this is just going to be Barberton just responding in an insane way. Wow. I think if there's anything that's going to be a telltale sign of how good this game is going to be, it's how fast these teams are responding to pressure applied. Even if it's not in the same round, they are instantly adapting and instantly finding ways to undermine the other team's playstyle. And what's going to be a clear tell of who's going to win this series is who's able to get that adaptation down faster.
And if they're not able to respond and respect Parakeet's Tracer here, he's going to cause them a lot of troubles, as he's just able to wrap around, annoy them in the back line, creep pressure, but ooh, grilled cheese with a nasty little shot there.
Getting some clean shots here, getting the clean up for the side of Akron-Stem, giving them control of the point. And now this is going to be where we're going to see the kind of two different styles of attack conflict to see who's going to be able to hold better. I think Akron-Stem has a little bit of a slower play style with the Genji and the cast combo, being able to play a little bit more length, being able to play from further back. But Barberton's comp is exactly meant for stopping that from happening with the Tracer and with the Reaper. They are set up to close that. We see Parakeet able to get one with the bomb and Tommy Boy able to get another with the Death Blossom. And with that, it's just another team kill. It's another wipe.
It's a nice little swing with the combo there, the Pulse and the Reaper. The Kiriko has to choose to Suzu one of the two, and the other one's just going to kill you in the face.
Exactly. And now we're going to be seeing, even though they're slightly down on ults here, we've got a big swing ult and something that could potentially provide a lot of pressure. With the Ko burned right here, that response is going to be gone, and now we see 4 ults on the side of Akron-Stem.
Tommy Boy being able to single out Monk there, that Cold didn't find too much value, but creating that split and staggering this fight, they're just playing for time.
And I think something that's interesting to see is how much of a plan of Barberton's plan has been singling out Monk and stopping him from existing. He put a really big thorn in their side on Gardens, and now they're just stopping him from getting any sort of impact here, which I think is exactly how you need to be playing this, especially when you're going up against someone like Monk. And we're seeing Levi here showing why he's put onto this Genji.
Hacking and slashing away, getting reset after reset because of the blade and the rush. And that's, if you're on the side of Akron here, I think you are very happy with this. Winning that team fight 2-1, forcing out a Flux in a fight that they would have lost. Committing this fast with Monk, just holding up this space. They want to play close up in them.
They do. Those Genji moves, I think, would be making Silent proud. Seeing that type of prowess here. And now we're going to be seeing Barberton looking for a final break here on this opening. I think awareness of the wrap, but no quite response, and a B combo with a JQ ult combo. We're not going to be seeing a massive amount of come down. 1 kill onto the side of Barberton, 2 kills even from Akron-Stem, but now it's an even game. And it's a perfect combo, 1 support, 1 heal, 1 tank, but it's going to be Akron-Stem with all that's left is this JQ, looking for some sort of rally back, but it's just not going to happen.
I'm very surprised there that Own Dog's match beat was not enough to be able to swing the tempo back into their favor. I wonder if it was just a missed call or a mistimed play, but it seemed like that should have gone in favor of Akron.
It really seemed like it should have. It might have also been the JQ ult, whether it was a fat finger or what, just maybe not finding any value. And we've got 1 person on the point from Akron-Stem. They were able to get a little bit of pressure, but ultimately they're going to get cleaned up, and that looks like, and for all intents and purposes, is going to be Barberton securing the first map of this grand finals. And
that's going to be our first map, coming down to that last Flux, being able to pull and split the backline like that. When you're pressed for time in that fights where you have 15, 20 seconds left to touch the point, those late stagger kills mean everything.
They absolutely do. And right here, we're going to be seeing exactly what really was just kind of the swing in this final round. It was that break from the side of Funeral and Tommy Boy, and just that sustained healing coming out from Morbo, which is a great thing to see, especially with a character like Moira. They're a character that I think can kind of fall flat when it comes to the sustained healing, with that being a resource. But if you're able to properly time that out and properly set it up to the way that it needs to be, it's a great thing to see. And now we're moving over to the side of Hybrid. We've got the Call of Eichenwald coming out for map number 2. And this is going to be an interesting one. I know this is one of the maps that, I don't know, I feel like you guys don't play this a ton.
We do not. This is a map that our team very much isn't extremely familiar with. We like the much more rushy, brawly, kind of like Midtown, Kings Row, a lot of places you can get in there fast. This is more of a map where you can kind of get a little like hit scan dominancy with all the high grounds, especially on something like second point.
Second point. Yeah.
Where you can just kind of just control that high, that stairs, and if you can't walk up there, it's really hard to break through.
So something that I'm wondering with this choice coming out from the side of Akron-Stem, I'm wondering if that pick may have been just to kind of elevate Monk, just kind of put him on the hit scan, put him in his comfort, and just let him cook, essentially, because he was hitting some good shots, but I think the Streets of Lijiang just were a little bit too tight for him to really find a ton of value. So putting him on a map where it's very open, I think will be very interesting. And I also find it to be something that might be an interesting stylistic matchup. I didn't see a ton of hit scan pick from the side of Barberton, so I don't know if that's that they maybe lack that type of character, or if it's more that they just, on those maps, they have players who feel more comfortable playing some of those more up-close brawly. Because we saw a lot of Tracer, May, and Reaper play. We didn't see like the cast that was coming out from the side of Akron-Stem.
And I think also, as we're fixing up the final things here, playing into the Sigma, actually, it opens up avenues to be able to play dive, which isn't something that we've really seen from this team. And I'm wondering if they're holding it on in the back pocket now that they're playing this hard Sigma comp, because if you can dive into the backline of a Sigma, the space that he holds is irrelevant.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's another thing that might be even interesting to look at, to see like the stylistic matchups. Again, stuff that we were talking about with the potential of dive here, now that you know that this Sigma is going to be on the board a ton of time. It's going to be interesting to see how this all matches up and how it all decides to go. As we get into map number 2 here, we're going to be looking to Akron-Stem being on the attack side and Barberton being on that defense. So because we can almost expect this Sigma coming out, what are we looking for on the side of Barberton for their first defense?
I think something with the Sigma, like you said, and being able to post it up maybe with like some sniper characters, maybe like some anti-dive characters. Maybe we see a Brig, a Cassidy or something. Anything that they can kind of kite and keep it range here. And it looks like they're going to do exactly that. Very survivable back line. It's hard to kill a Lucio. It's hard to kill a Moira. You just want to stable your Sig. And Parakeet God here. He was performing a little bit on the Tracer, and I'm excited to see the Sojourn.
I'm excited to see the Soj too. And something interesting to see when we look over to the side of Akron-Stem, it's that call that I made earlier, Monk on the cast. But if you were watching, he initially was on Trace. So I don't know if that was a muscle memory lock, or if this was a deliberate where they are playing the cast more, and that was maybe a 50-50 call, and Monk's just sort of more feeling it on the cast, which I wouldn't be surprised with this pick, especially with the rest of it being able to play this more rushy style. It gives Monk the ability to play range and also play close. As we get into this first fight, it's going to be the side of Barberton getting that initial pick onto Levi, just shredding the Reaper, giving him no time of day, and it's instantly going to be a fight pause here for Akron-Stem.
Levi falling early, inspecting this rock onto the tank. These guys are playing so close. They're playing Sigma in such an unorthodox style, almost as a brawl tank, just using the rock as kind of something they can swing on and all focus down one target at the same time.
Yeah, it might be something that they've noticed with the style of Akron-Stem, that they can get away with playing this Sig incredibly up close and incredibly just offensively. We see Levi dropping again. He has got
Tommy Boy Ohio. These right clicks are nasty.
Levi has gotten no impact in this first point at all. I don't know how much damage he's done, but I would not be surprised if it is incredibly, incredibly little. And Tommy Boy picking up more.
Going absolutely crazy. Already has the mails. This guy has been putting in the work in the damage department. But we do see the swap over on Levi to the Echo.
We also see another swap from the side of Akron-Stem. It's going to be Monk onto the Sombra.
As well as the swap of Kreen to Ram. So they're almost changing everything entirely. Just the backline is staying the same.
Yeah. Can you think of any reason that they would be going for this with the kind of failures that they found so far? Looking for some sort of shift?
I believe it's to open up the map a little more, because right now it's really hard for them to just run in and face tank against a Sigma. But if they can slow the tempo down, play a little bit slower, take these long drawn out fights, and drain their resources exactly like that, maybe they can find their openings.
Yeah, and they found an opening right now. It's Monk finding Tommy Boy, and Levi with the swap finding Funeral. And even though the duplication from Levi will be finding no ult, it will be finding the first point on Eichenwald, giving them now the escort section of the map. And now leading into point 2, this is something where we talked about that hit scan dominance. This is something where we need to see the likes of Parakeet God coming alive, because Tommy Boy has swapped back onto the Reap and will be instantly melted as soon as he tries to face check. So we're going to need to see Parakeet God not only establishes dominance on the high ground over Monk, something that he will fail to do in this first interaction, but we're also going to be need to seeing him be able to pull out those railguns and be able to get a lot of impact, with Soj being that kind of in between of a pure hit scan and a pure projectile, playing somewhere in the middle. It's going to be important that he is able to get that dominance with his right clicks that makes this map so good for hit scans.
But with the Sombra and the Echo, I think that his job becomes infinitely much harder, because these guys are always going to be pressuring him, making sure that he can't keep these angles, especially if Funeral is matching onto the low ground here. It's going to be extremely hard for him to live under the pressure of those two DPS.
Yeah, I feel like a swap that we need to start seeing is we need to see either Parakeet God play more with the team, or we need to see the likes of Tommy Boy Ohio play with Parakeet in kind of this 2-3 setup, because Parakeet is just getting jumped on high ground and isn't really able to find any sort of response. The Sombra coming out of Monk is just finding a ton of impact and a ton of value. And as we see Tommy Boy Ohio, a massive clear to find, especially at this stage in the game. 3 minutes left on the clock, and it's a full reset for the side of Akron-Stem.
He was not finding the value that he needed on the Reaper, but in that play alone, he's showing us why he blocks that character and why they want to play in this style. As he's going to find the Echo as well.
Yep. More stall, more stagger on Levi. That is it seems like almost the name of the game. Every time Levi has had a big play, we've instantly seen the tide shift. And now we see Parakeet God swapping off of that Soj onto the Trace. And we saw him putting in good work on Lijiang, but
recognizing that the two DPS will be able to kind of counter him, and so instead of changing the playstyle, just change the character entirely and go annoy their backline instead. The adaptability of these players is absolutely incredible, but the timing maybe seems a little bit unfortunate, as Akron is going to be able to wipe through main with the Kazune Rush here.
Yep, Akron is going to be able to get control back of that point, and it's going to be just Parakeet God left in that back line, and he isn't dead yet, but now he is. So it's going to be the tank and the two supports from Barberton to put up some sort of stall while the two DPS of their team are able to respawn and fall back in, and they can look towards some sort of final challenge here before we get to third segment. And Tommy Boy is going to be finding the early value killing Monk, but an instant response from Guild Cheese killing Parakeet God. That is going to be the Tracer down, and we need to see a stall. The beat coming out from the side of Akron-Stem and Barberton, both beats getting pulled here, but it's going to be Barberton that's pulling ahead. It's slowly but surely, but with that flux, it's going to be even a little bit more dominant.
Swinging it back, it looks like just from the ult banks alone here, they're going to be able to swing their advantage slowly but surely, getting these kills, and they're down to a minute left.
They're down to a minute left, and they're incredibly close, and it's going to be a full team reset, although the respawns are going to be a little wacky with Own Dog falling off the side of the map there. He's not going to get quite with the rest of the team, but they are all within relatively even timing, so they're going to be going for one final point, and they're going for this kind of gambly style of going up this side ramp and potentially just trying to go through middle tower.
Now it's almost a game of chicken as to whether the Reaper ult or the EMP will hit first. As we're entering last fight territory, are only 30 seconds. The offending team has to make a move here, and they will, as Funeral drops, and the hack onto Reaper makes him not fade, and he can't ult either.
Yep, and he's going to be brought down by the side of Levi. That's going to be leaving just, I think it's just the Tracer, and the Tracer's able to get knocked out. That is a late round rally back from Akron-Stem, giving them just a minute 40 to get this third segment. We're going to be seeing no swaps come out here from Barberton. They've been almost swapping every point, and with a wipe like that, I would have been expecting something like a last-minute swap coming out from their side. And we see exactly why. Tommy Boy getting Monk and then popping the ult to ensure the kill onto the Sigma. With no Vortex up, he was a sit and duck.
But if you're on the side of Akron here, I think you're completely fine with this. I mean, wiping that, you were already down 2 to begin with. The Reaper ult comes through, and look at the ult bank. They're almost coming up on 5 ultimates here with the last minutes. I think they might be able to full cap this.
I think they are easily able to. The EMP coming out early with the Anai combo is so massive, instantly taking out one of the supports from the side of Barberton and the tank. And it's just going to be more pressure put on from the Anai. We're going to be seeing that coming out. It's not quite a team wipe, but it's almost functionally. And now Barberton is getting put into a box, and they need to respond quickly. This is right in front of their spawn, and with 40 seconds left, I think it's really whoever loses this fight is going to be the one who loses the game here. It's a full 5-5. The ults invested out from the side of Akron-Stem, both the Kitsu and the duplicate, the B coming out from the side of Barberton, and now the Flux coming out from Levi. Might get 2. Oh, just barely does it.
Just not quite. The healing is barely enough to keep him up.
And we've still got one dead from the side of Akron-Stem, and that's going to be no stall left on the point. I don't believe they're going to be able to get a touch.
The Flux is the night touch, and Barberton will be able to hold off the full cap.
A very good hold at the end there.
It was very surprising, especially as looking at the time bank with the ultimates on the side of Akron-Stem. I wonder if they were maybe a little too hesitant, because the ult difference in the banks between the two teams, Barberton was down a lot of resources, and Akron had more than half of their ultimates available to use.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to watch that at the very end. I think especially with the timing of when something like the Kitsu got popped, especially on that like last corner going into final cap point. They were at 34 seconds, which when that Kitsu got popped, that was like the signal of we are going to be here for the long con. And they were already like a little bit back. They needed to be a little bit more decisive in their play. They needed something to truly say they are here to shut them down, because at that point you can't really die there like a little bit into the fight and get a respawn and get a touch without getting incredibly lucky. And at this point, luck is going to play almost nothing into these teams. And as we look towards Akron-Stem's defense, we're going to be seeing our first Orisa pick of this grand finals, along with the keep of Monk and Levi onto the side of the Sombra and the Echo, which is going to be an interesting matchup, seeing Parakeet God on that Pharah, and we see Morb on that Mercy. So I am expecting Monk to swap off that Som very fast and go over to the cast.
Now this is a very interesting combo, as well as a lot of Pharah nowadays is not as commonly played with Mercy, and I think as soon as they see the swap, yep, they're going to go swap back to it. Yeah. They find that they do not want to play the Pharah into the Echo. That's going to be a very hard matchup for them.
An interesting thing to note, though, I was going to say, Morb was taking a while to swap off that Mercy. I thought they were going to keep it, and they were going to keep the Angel, I forgot what he was on, Moira, I think? But no, they went for the swap back to what they were doing, and the swap back, maybe at a risk, Akron-Stem just mops through them, making almost a mockery of what was their attack, and it's going to be solidified by that kill on Funeral. So
yeah, this Orisa being able to lock down the space, just the sheer amount of survivability this character has, and the amount of bullying that this character can do to DPS, tanks, and supports alike is something that will really help stabilize and open up opportunities of avenue for Monk and Levi.
Absolutely. Something that I will be looking towards, though, in that interaction that we saw right there from that Orisa, we saw all 3 cooldowns get burned in very fast succession. So something like the survivability on this character may be put into question by the person playing it, simply because of that triple burn on cooldown. Especially with the entire team right in front of him. As soon as all those go down, it got very risky. It got very mixy, and we see that with the Orisa going down, and it's going to be a cap here from the side of Barberton being able to get full control over that point, and even looking towards some pressure onto the next before that point is even fully capped.
And I think that to that point of Orisa, if this Orisa wants to play in that super spiky playstyle where you want to burn all your cooldowns and get a lot of value out of it, looking for something like split angles with your DPS, if you get a nice hack or if you get some nice stickies from your Echo in the sky, looking for those in combination with your team can really go the distance and be what they need to be able to break this super strong Sigma hold.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what I think going to be the storyline for the day, is how is this Sigma hold going to get broken? It's something that we saw that they were able to masterfully do on the Markets point of Lijiang, but we see Tommy Boy here popping the ult, and it's just, they're running over them. Barberton absolutely mopping.
Tommy Boy here is not messing around with the Qs. If he sees 3, he's pressing it. He wants them dead.
He is. And we're going to be seeing that swap over from Monk back onto that cast. You have to think that that's a comfort pick, because although the Sombra was finding some value, they may not have been finding a lot now, but for stopping that cast, that might be something that you look towards. Now we're going to be seeing the likes of Monk get face-checked by Tommy
But
Boy.
being pushed out by Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
Again, this Reaper pick is going to say, I don't care if you want to play the slow angles. I'm going to run up in your face, and I'm going to take the space for you.
Him also being beated absolutely does not help Monk in any way in that fight. He had so much health, and with the lifesteal on there, he had such a high pool that he could pull from. That duplicate out of Levi, able to get a little bit of pressure, picking the Reaper, I think mainly just because it was all that was available on the board. The Blossom getting popped, and it's going to be a return back to the Echo right about now. So now, 3 minutes on the clock for Akron-Stem to hold, looking to take control of this high ground, burning that Sigma shield as fast as possible. And this is something that we talked about in the pregame, which was getting Monk up here, but he is just... Tommy Boy's just played for his life.
Tommy Boy Ohio, he's going in these crazy flanks, and honestly, ego-dueling Monk, and he's able to win.
Yeah. And I think even that, Parakeet God going for similar things, maybe not quite as apparent as somebody like Tommy Boy, but he is going for these flanks, going for these back plays, and although he's able to find some value, it seems that he's found a lot more just playing with the group, playing in that more face-checky style. We're seeing Funeral die here, and that is going to be looking like a reset here for the side of Barberton. 2:30 left on the clock for Akron-Stem's hold, and some micro adjusts here. Seeing the lack, or actually potentially going back to it right now, what I was going to say was the lack of the full stack up on the top of tower here for P2, something that is potentially analyzed as a very big weakness, giving Tommy Boy that freedom just to sort of come up left side, insta TP up, and just gank Monk from the back side.
What a shot on Tommy there.
And those are some crisp shots from
And if you're Akron here,
Monk.
you're more than happy by keeping up Monk on this high ground, as Noon just absolutely slaps too.
Finding that double there from the alt is impressive as all get out
Able
here.
to, even gets the stagger
Parakeet.
on Parakeet as well. I mean, this is the reason why they throw this guy on this character.
He
is
just
because
finds
you watch
value.
his gameplay, and mechanically, he's just present and all. And that's what you need in a DPS carry, is someone who's going to be there when you need them, and who's going to hit all of their shots when you need them to. Absolutely.
And another thing that was kind of not mentioned as much when it happened, but now that we're spectating it, I can bring it up. The Levi swap onto the So just something that I look to, and I question why, mainly because he was finding so much value on the side of that Echo before. I wonder what exactly in his book or from his IGL made him choose to do that swap. It'll be an interesting thing if we are able to talk to these players at the end, which might be able to happen. I make no promises. You never know.
Like the promises, but we hope to have some fun interviews after the games. But
Yeah.
speaking of the games, it looks like the defense is finally going to be broken through as ultimates start coming online for Barberton.
Yep, Barberton able to get that crack through and is able to now play for this final point, for this full cap, without having to go into overtime. We're going to be seeing the initial push coming up here. No comp swaps from either side coming into this final point, and a swap from Barberton at this point I would question, especially a tank swap, just seeing the display of power that the Sigma is able to pull. It looks a little bit questionable whenever he is getting just the sync thrown at him, but while he's able to get his value and kind of show why Sigma is a valuable pick, he is just shredding through people. But this is a full rally back from Akron-Stem. A full 5-on-5 with nobody dropped is impressive, to say the least, as we look towards what could be second to last or very last, depending on how long it's dragged on from the side of Barberton. You have to be looking towards those swings.
With all of these ultimates, we could be looking at an extremely extended fight here.
Absolutely. And with the time that we're on to the rest of these alts, I would not be surprised if we see upwards of 7-8 alts coming out here in this single team fight. We're going to start things off with the Coalescence from the side of Akron-Stem, able to get a little bit of chip, but mainly just a lot of sustain onto their team. We're going to be seeing the Flux coming out from the side of Barberton here, along with the beat drop. But Parakeet God is dead here, and we're going to be seeing that high noon drop, double pop. And Orisa able to get another pick. 45 seconds left on the
down on
clock.
the hold while using bare minimum ultimates.
Yeah. And Levi's been showing some great stuff, not just on DPS, but especially on the Soj. And we see that OC waiting in the back pocket. Obviously, this Pulse Bomb from the side of Tracer can be very risky, especially with this entire team being incredibly grouped up because of the nature of this final point. We see that Tracer getting extended, the ping's coming out. They know that this could be a problem, along with the Co coming out here.
Barberton under a lot of pressure. You have to ask the question, how are you going to break through this beat OC?
And it's gonna
with
be
the Ajax onto the rock, it might be exactly what they need.
It's exactly.
Boy High coming onto the flank.
It's a 1-1 here. It's incredibly close. Two people able to stall this point. It's going to be whoever loses this fight, I think, loses the game. And it's looking like Akron-Stem is able to get a little bit of a rally back here. The comeback from the SIG is able to get a little bit of pressure, but that's going to be a pick onto the Moira. The Soj for the side of Akron-Stem is coming out. It's just a all-out brawl here on the final point. The Trace getting killed. It's just
but Akron
the
coming
SIG.
out on top. The respawns are not enough.
The SIG is dead, and Akron-Stem equalizes the game.
And with the final strike, Monk will bring them home to another map win.
Oh boy. We got a series on our hands,
series.
dude.
1-1
This is
tied
gonna
up.
be fun.
This is much more than I could ask for.
And for grand finals on the first day of us hosting, this is great for things to come. This is great. And this is exactly one of the things we were talking about with Monk on this cast here. His DPS, but especially his hit scan, like burst DPS, has been showing so much prowess on pretty much any map we throw him on. We were talking about it on the Lijiang. It came out in a very brawly map, and he was able to put up incredibly respectable numbers. And on this map of Eichenwald, you know, we saw a little bit of that Sombra play when it was necessary, but as soon as he was able to swap onto that cast, it was smooth sailing from there on out.
And I think that's definitely just such a strong comfort pick for Monk here, just being able to just lock down, play aim lab, shoot the targets that they need to shoot, and I think that can definitely carry them to a victory here. I think maybe worrying a little bit about too much counter swapping and just between playing what's comfortable can really work wonders as long as the team is kind of fundamentally building around that.
Exactly. And with this pick of Saravasa coming out, I feel like this is something where we could still see that prominence from the cast coming out. I feel like it has enough open points, especially those points over by like Fountain and over by, I think it's Gardens, what I call Spiral. I think you could see still a lot of that with those very open sight lines. But on that other side, things with the main staircase and Bell, you'd be looking towards those and potentially questioning exactly how much value they can get, especially on a map like Stairs or on a point like Stairs where there's so much of the built around where there isn't as much open sight lines. It's something where we might see some potential swap-offs, something that we were discussing with the potential of teams kind of going around trying to figure out what exactly works. But as we wait for the character selects to come in, you know, what are we looking towards? For Barberton to swing back, for Stem to keep the momentum up, what are we looking towards?
For the momentum, I do believe that sticking with the comfort characters, keeping Monk into this cast, I think that can work wonders for them. When they play it and it works, it's nasty. And especially on a map like this where you can swing him around, get him onto a nasty meat angle to be able to pinch with someone like your tank or another DPS, I think they can find a lot of success in that. But however, it looks like they're going to go back to the Sombra.
They're going to go back to the Sombra with a combo of the Genji, which is something that I don't think we've seen yet. I think we've seen the Sombra played with the Echo, and I don't know if that's just a comfort thing, a comp thing, or if it was just at the time the Echo was working better. So it'll be interesting to see. And for the side of Barberton, it's going to be that rollback to what we had before with the Reap and the Trace coming out. The interesting thing to see is kind of the support immobility that we're seeing along the sides of both, in all honesty, Own Dog and Angel being those essentially perma Lucios, and Morb only really
what
playing.
A shot by Grilled
what a
Cheese
shot
to open up the
indeed.
fight.
I was going to say, Morb really only playing that Moira, getting some value here and there. Potentially something that we could look towards as a potential downfall, especially as these fights get tight and close. Something where the healing from the side of Barberton could be lacking without something like a Kiri or a BAP to really just throw a ton at your team.
And I have to say, it begs to ask the question with this DPS lineup that Akron is running out against the side of Barberton, what character would you want to run at in this comp? It's a very assassinating style comp, but if you try to go on anything, you're going to get rocked, you're going to get faded, And just like that, Parakeet God is going to find the opening on grilled cheese instead.
And Tommy Boy is going to find the response. Monk able to get Funeral, but it's just going to come down to the side of the tank here, and it is just going to be a wipe. So Barberton able to battle back, get control of the point, but giving Akron-Stem almost that halfway tick.
They open up the point strong, but if you leave Tommy Boy Ohio unchecked, I think into a queen, he can just do some absolutely crazy work.
I think he's just going to find value, especially into those big meaty targets. We're going to find less of that onto the DPS here because the DPS are playing slightly more squishy characters. But that side of that JQ, especially with the shout, Reaper just looks at that and he starts licking his lips. That's a ton of lifesteal that he can find there. Keep that a fight going and keep that pressure just on.
And removing that Suzu as well. Tommy Boy Ohio isn't even upset at being forced out here. Being so close to the Death Blossom might be making a play as he kills Monk.
He finds one and he pops it for Survive, but Monk instantly, he gets that hack right before he dies and is able to get the response to 1-1, and another 1-1 followed exactly by that. We're now going to be seeing it is the tank and the two supports for Barberton versus what appears to be the tank and the two supports from Akron-Stem. So it's a battle of the sustains. It's going to be seeing who cracks first, and it looks like even after the Suzu invested, it's going to be the side. It looked like it was going to be the side of Akron-Stem losing out on that fight, but the return of Monk means that there is something to be said about this fight. Drew,
the JQ rip just to try and keep the fight alive, but Barberton has other ideas. They're still putting up a fight.
They're still putting up a fight. They're still finding value, and with just the JQ left, it's a repeat of the first fight lost. It's the JQ. They should be getting finished here, and it's the Kiri finish too. It's going to be Barberton finding the first tick on Servasa, and we're moving straight into the second point. We're going to be looking towards it. I believe this is the main stairs point, if I am reading this right.
What a drawn fight, and the diligence on Barberton to be able to hold 3 ults in the reserve. They're going to be able to match this, and having that first point secured while also matching ult economy has got to feel good.
Oh, it's got to feel amazing. And I think it's something that they might not even realize that they have it that close. I mean, they have the two, they obviously called the 2 ults out from there, but it's something where you don't know if maybe you missed an ult, you missed like a blade or something that you just shut down early or what. But at this point, like, you're feeling great. You've got 3 ults online, you've got a tick up, but this is where we look towards the sides of Akron-Stem, and I was going to say Levi getting some getting some real estate, but it's not going to happen. And with the beat pop afterwards, I have to wonder if that's a little bit of a miscomm there. And it looks like it's going to be, that's all 3 ults invested from the side of Akron-Stem, and I don't even know if that's going to be a point here. It's still 2-2.
Dr. Washbar and this queen just creating such a presence in the Sigma's face, getting carnage after carnage, shout after shout, living and killing absolutely everything. They're going to be able to break through with a match of their own.
Yeah, they're able to break through, but if we look over to the side of Barberton, that's still 2 ults online there, and they're really close to Tommy Boys, and that's a scary one to see. That's a scary prospect to almost have up. As we look over to the side of Akron-Stem, it's Monk. He's done with the Sombra. He's back on the cast, and this is something that we talked about.
Pick, and I think this is something that will carry them the long distance when you can't find that value on the Sombra. What's better than just trying to aim down? But if they're going to run over you, then you don't have time to aim at them.
Exactly. And we're going to be seeing the Dr. Washboard. The Ajax onto the ult is massive.
Crazy rock.
And that's the Excel button. That is just the foot on the gas from Barberton to be able to break this point. It's another 50% break. Akron-Stem is getting half the point, and then they're just crumbling. It's one mistake or one great play by Barberton, and they're able to just take full control. And we're seeing Dr. Washboard swap onto the Orisa, maybe to start counterplaying this Sig a little bit more to try to get some spears.
Ohio is going to play sneaky for a fast Q here. There's an early Suzu out. There's no spin. He's going. It's going to be a massive Q.
And he finds one, and he doesn't find any more, but he's put up so much pressure that Barberton...
It's enough, and that's exactly what they needed to hold.
It's enough.
Grilled cheese is going to pop to Kitsune, maybe unintentional because the fight is lost. There's 3 down.
It's well beyond gone, and that is a massive round to find. That's a massive play to find, specifically from Tommy Boy with him not dying at all during that fight. He popped his Q, and even after the Q was gone, there was no focus. He was able to keep living, and he's going for it again. Maybe not with the Q, but he's able to play these corners. They're ready for it at this point, but
Buying
Levi...
time with Morbo, they're okay with dumping ults here if it means it's secure.
Yeah, and Levi looked for something,
being able to swing.
Nothing found. And this is Barberton. It's the same story as last time. Maybe a little bit more competitive now because of the use of ult here and there, and it looks like the spear onto the Vortex is actually going to stop the Flux from coming out. It's now just this Sig to get forced off. Akron-Stem is able to do it, and they're able to recap point.
But maybe their ambitions were a little too much, as Akron's able to just flip the map and play the point.
Yeah.
They say, if you want to hold all the way up and take us fast, we'll just go around you. And we'll have to play in this space where it actually matters. And now we're in a neck-and-neck touch, and there's no guarantee that they fight this.
Yep, 20% left. It's something that I didn't even notice. Monk is playing the side of the Echo. Oh, it looked like could have been an amazing play from Parakeet
But it gets eat. What an eat by Dr. Washboard. Wow.
He flies 3. That would have been an amazing play from Parakeet God. Going for that backline stall like that, going around the side of the map.
I was very surprised to see the recall, because I think they would have landed if they didn't go for it.
They didn't have the second blink, and I think it was just fear that they would have died there. They went for the recall. Now we're going to be moving over to, it looks like this courtyard point here is going to be the site of our next, as we have Barberton setting up on it, looking to hold off the push from Stem, but they're actually just going to, looks like they're going to be giving the point.
But yeah, possibly making the slightly scared plays, not afraid to make mistakes, and maybe go for something crazy on the side of Barberton might bite them in the ass here.
Yeah.
As they're full going, they're full committing in this, and this is going to be a big point flip to win now that it's 1-1.
Yep. I find the boop call a little bit interesting, but it appears to be getting them a lot of value, but we're going to be seeing the Levi ult. Levi coming out on the Reap, and Monk on the Replicate. Reaper is able to find more value with his ult.
Quadruple shotgun value. How can you run from that with a speed boost?
You physically can't. You're gonna get run down, and that's what shotguns love. They love to close that space, and they love to play right up in your face. And this is a lot of pressure coming out from Akron-Stem. This is gonna be the best start that they've had on a point all map. But
and forcing out the Reaper already, it seems like Dr. Washboard wants to be able to chase that.
Yeah, it looks like he is.
Chase they will. Another Reaper ult will get booped away.
Yep.
But the Ram is split.
Does it say the boop right back into the split? Almost a misplay from the side of Barberton to affect the side of Barberton, using Levi just like a ping pong ball, just getting sent back into the team. And it's looking like Akron-Stem, I think Barberton is giving, looking for next point.
Yeah, Barberton looking to slip up on the second point there. It maybe costed them more than that first, but even the second one, because after committing all those ults into those fights, now you're kind of out of gas.
Yeah, and now we're going to be looking towards this next point. This is going to be Bell, I believe, with these rotates coming out. And we're looking towards the side of Barberton, looking to swing with that Ko and the Pulse Bomb sitting in the back pocket, along with decent closeness to both Beat and that Anai, stuff that could come out in this first fight. It's going to be interesting to see how they leverage their ults up. From the side of Akron-Stem, you're going to be seeing potentially the Orisa ult coming out, but we are going to be seeing the Beat go online. It's a matter of if it will get popped here, especially after that Ko. It might be something where you see that cap go down and then pop it to do that reaggress. Tommy Boy in the backline looking for some sort of pressure, cannot find any sort of kill, is able to distract, but with the Beat, the double Beat response coming out from both sides, this is just going to be a gas to the floor. No breaks here coming out from the side. Grilled Cheese getting that first.
The first pick as the Rhymo just popped as well.
Yeah, the first pick, but the Anai response is massive, and because of how this ult works, it's exactly the type of response ult you want. Levi able to get 2 there. He might be able to clear the site.
I believe it's just Parakeet left. I believe they came on top of the next stage and they were able to get the flip.
Yeah.
Now, if you're Barberton, this is very, very bad news for you.
The people you're going up against have point lead. They're a little bit down on score for this point, but they are 2-1. This could be putting Akron-Stem up 2-1 in the series. And Tommy Boy, he has that ult in his back pocket, and he's dangerous with these ults. We've always seen it. We also got Parakeet God really close to the Pulse Bomb, and a pretty close Ko here for the side of...
See, possibly a big stick will find Own Dog and get the Orisa down very, very low as the copy comes out as well with the Reaper Blossom.
We're seeing the pressure from Monk coming in, looking to get something, especially after Tommy Boy was able to wipe a little bit of his backline. He's able to wipe Levi, and now it's just down to Monk in a 1v3. He's not going to be able to clutch it out, and that's Barberton recapping the point looking towards potentially forcing a 0.5 on Spiral, which I think will be interesting to see.
And the saving grace here, if Tommy Boy Ohio is able to get on a crazy flank with this Reaper Blossom again, it might be just what they need to bring this to a round 5.
It looks like they're going to be circumventing him. It looks like they're going to be going more towards his right, not necessarily right in his wheelhouse. He might be looking for something, a little bit of pressure on the Monk.
We'll find Monk, get him to 1 HP. Is he able to finish?
He is able to get the
Barely
finish.
Gets the finish.
But he has no fade. This Moira is a dangerous prospect.
But Tommy Boy Ohio
melee.
is going crazy. He comes in from the flank and he's back with the team soon. They're able to
Levi
punish the
low.
Reaper, and this is going to be fight 1.
Yeah, and Tommy didn't even have to use his ult there. He's going to have it for this first fight and final point.
And this is what I wanted to see from Parrot God earlier, is taking these crazy flanks, playing a little ambitious, playing like you need to win these points, because now they're all tied up, and this is anyone's game.
It's 0.5 on Saravasa. It's the way that you would want it to end, and I think, in my opinion, it's my favorite point to play. Spiral is such a fun point to play, and we see Levi swapping off the Reaper, swapping off onto that Sombra, or not Sombra, Sojourn. Looking for the type of moves that we saw on Eichenwald. We're looking to see some sort of pressure here come out. We're going to see that all from Tommy.
What a crazy boop into there.
Yeah, crazy boop into the backline. Parakeet God finding the kill onto Levi. And it's going to be Barberton capturing this point first and looking to clean up these kills. Just the melts from Tommy Boy and Parakeet. That's 1-2 punch from the DPS of Barberton has just not stopped. It has been ridiculous to watch.
And you look at the ult banks here on the side of Barberton, 4 ults in the bank with almost 30% already. You've got to be feeling extremely confident, but ooh, not after Levi hits a nasty shot onto the Tracer.
That's the thing with these teams. They can go, they have all the ult advantage, they have all that ult pressure, but these players on both sides, but especially on the side of Akron-Stem, you put them on a hit scan, they're just gonna melt. The beat pop here to keep the fight alive, looking for some sort of finish. Tommy Boy able to get finished off, and it's just the Moira that is left from the side of Barberton will get cleaned up, and that is Akron-Stem fighting back, rallying back, getting this point control.
But it's exactly a late beat on the side of Barberton. It feels like a moment of indecisiveness, but when you have this lead, you have to be able to play confident.
And this is going to be something where we're going to need to see every trick in the book pulled out from Akron-Stem. They've got 3 of the best space-clearing ults in the game here, and a sleeping at the wheel from Own Dog.
Walking into that, and Funeral hard walking with the Ram ult.
Yeah, he's just getting so much space. He's being given so much respect. It's the ult coming out from the side of Grilled Cheese, but the instant response is going to be just juicing the side of Funeral. But now with that Grilled Cheese down in the backline, Barberton has a rally back. They have 70.
And
this is a one-fight game.
They're back to the Tommy Boy Ohio. We've seen this. This is the 3rd time.
Yeah.
Can he do it? 3 for free.
3 for 3. We saw his massive play on point 3, almost securing the point for Barberton.
10 seconds to touch. They're going to be extremely hard forced to touch this point. They have 3 seconds to touch, and they're walking right into a Death Blossom.
The Death Blossom going to be finding nothing with the beat popped out, along with the replicate from Monk. We could be seeing a response all here. We're going to be seeing the Blossom fighting
and
too.
Akron is fighting. They are not willing to let go.
They will not go quietly into the night. The triple ult pop from the side of Akron-Stem, potentially a little ambitious if this was midpoint, but this is where you got to throw everything on the table.
And they have 20%.
Yeah. Parakeet God may be able to get a pulse bomb, but that's really all the ults that we're going to be seeing from the side of Barberton. There's a chance that Angel is able to get his ult out, but we're going to need to see some sort of final touch. It's Parakeet God with 3. We're going to be needing to see something, and it's a misplay! On the final point,
the pulse.
A miscall on the timing.
A tiny bit of mistime led to a map of unfortunacy.
In a game that was so winnable for Barberton. With the pressure pulled back so much, they fumble at the very last second. Oh my god. This puts Akron-Stem up 2-1 in our series, carrying the momentum from Eichenwald over into the next. And we're going to be looking towards a map number 4.
And what a nail-biter at that as well. At any point in this series, I think any of those rounds could have gone any which way.
Easily. They were all so tightly played. They were so tightly called. Everything was just right at the edge. Like, it was a game. It was a game that was tight the entire way through. There's no easy way to say it. Around a .5 game on Sura is the way that you want these games to be going, and it's showing exactly why this region is so competitive. It came down to the spacing on the blinks and the timing on the blinks.
Down to the literal wire. If Paragon was just a tiny bit earlier, there's another fighting chance, another nail biter, super close fight, and it could have gone to either team.
It really could have. If Parakeet gets that touch, there's a real chance that he almost instantly gets Pulse. And from there, we've seen Pulses get nothing and Pulses get 2.5. We've seen the entire gambit of Pulse Bombs there. And with everybody so stacked up from the side of Akron-Stem, I would not be surprised if a Pulse Bomb there would have completely flipped the fight and given Barberton the win. But we're not in that world. We are in the world of this world. And now Akron-Stem, they have a leg up. They have a lead in the series, and they're looking to not necessarily close it out now, but extend that lead. We're going to move over to the side of New Queen Street in a moment. We're waiting on a little bit from Akron-Stem. We're not exactly sure what the issue is yet, but they said they aren't quite ready. So we're going to need a little bit of time. But New Queens,
my least favorite push.
I was about to say how you feel about it. I was like, I'm expecting you to not like it from what I remember.
Well, I was with Paul here earlier on the end stream. For those of you who caught it, Push is my favorite game mode. I think it shows the best captivated knowledge of Overwatch as a whole. I really like the game mode because it really shows a team's understanding of tempo, of when you can take fights, when it's okay to leave the bots, what check marks matter the most, and what fights matter the most. As for New Queens, though, it's a really weird map. It's some funky corners. There's some long angles. What you play is kind of whatever you're mechanically best at. It's not necessarily maybe a map that there's one hard meta comp that you extremely have to run. It's flexible in its own way, and I'm kind of indifferent about that. I like the very straightforward maps, and I think map diversity is good. But I know there are some people who do stand New Queens. Shout out to Paul.
I see. I don't know how I feel about New Queens as far as like someone who plays it. I like the aesthetic of the map, so I think I like it because when I play on maps that I like how they look, I perform insanely well. It's a really weird phenomenon. I never understood it, but like back when I played CS, I was just insane at Overpass, and Mirage, I was terrible. It didn't make sense to me, but just it is what it was. So I like New Queens for its pure aesthetic. I'm always a fan of snow maps. I'm always a fan of that wintertime aesthetic. But as far as its gameplay goes, I do agree. It is kind of, because of its openness, it's kind of weird to play because you see so many weird combinations of comps. And I feel like, kind of pulling it back to this series, it's going to be very interesting to see how these teams approach this map. It's, again, as we talked about, it's a comfort map. It's one where we're going to be seeing really what everyone is best at come out. So it's something where I wonder if it is going to be something where these teams treat it as a pure comfort, or if they're going to try to force something more like a more standard style of comp on. Mainly the thing that I'm interested to see is what the DPS selection is going to look like. Because I feel like we've been seeing the cast from Monk come out, and we've been seeing it do well, but it's never really had time to breathe. The most it had would have been like the last point on Eichenwald, but like that's the most we've seen of it, and we've seen how much damage it can do, especially in this type of series. So it's something where I wonder if it's potential questions on the value that it's getting as a whole from the rest of the team that's maybe getting Monk to not play it as much, or if it's maybe not a ton of belief as far as what we can see from the rest of the team. It'll be interesting to see. It'll also be interesting to see for the rest of the players, as something we talked about with this map being a very open and a very expansive map at certain points, but also having incredibly tight corners here and there. It'll be interesting to see if something like the Reaper from Tommy Boy Ohio comes back, because you're seeing massive Death Blossoms on that last play of Saravasa, but this is a map where I question kind of how much value Reaper can get because of those long, very unguarded sightlines.
And bringing up those two players in particular between Monk and Tommy Boy Ohio, I do wonder what time Tommy Boy is going to swap over to play here because of these super long angles. Are they going to be able to continue playing the Reaper? Are they going to be able to keep shutting down the value that Monk would be able to get on these angles that he wants to take?
It's something where as we see the character select come out, the swap of the pharmacy coming out from Barberton, we saw them potentially pull this on the Eichenwald map, on their Eichenwald attack, and seeing them have to commit to it much more before they swap off, unless they are going to go for a swap off like right before the round starts. But seeing them have to get to first point before they can really decide that they need to swap is going to be interesting.
Oh, and they're going for it.
And they are. We're also going to be seeing the side of Funeral playing that Sigma, or not the Sigma that we've been so used to see. We're going to be seeing that Ram come out
instead.
We've been seeing a little bit of Funeral's Ram here, and it hasn't been bad, but it's just been something where we've been seeing the kind of the innovation on the Sigma, and I'm kind of sad that we won't be seeing more of that. From the side of Akron-Stem, we're going to be seeing Monk keeping his form on that Echo, and we're also going to be seeing Levi playing on the side of the SOH, seeing something a little bit different coming out from that side. We're going to be seeing early trades here and there. Tommy, the side of Barberton, coming out a little bit ahead. And we're going to be seeing a fallback from the side of Akron-Stem. That's another thing that's going to be very interesting to see from the side of Barberton here with that Mercy pick is going to be that res, because they were able to res that Ram. And although it didn't make a ton of difference in this game, if the Ram is able to get away with that in some much more tight team fights, able to bring somebody like Tommy Boy back or bring somebody like Funeral back, especially if Tommy Boy has an ult, that's very big swings. And as we expect Tommy Boy, we're seeing what could have been
really sneaky. Ooh, but is forced out. Unfortunately found.
Yep. And now it's going to
will be punished here.
Yeah, it's going to be a full dive from the rest of Akron-Stem, ensuring that Tommy Boy is not here. And we're going to be seeing Monk now swap over to the Soldier here. It's a hit scan, so I have no doubt that he would be able to put up numbers, and we're seeing kind of the rollback from that with Levi and Own Dog getting a lot of damage, but it's something where I wonder kind of what the choice was. Maybe if it was more that the Soldier acts as a sustain to potentially kind of shoot through the heal of the Mercy, or if it was something to kind of put a ton of pressure at once on the Mercy, forcing her to play more of a corner. We shall see.
I do believe it is just a pick to make sure that Parakeet God on the Forest stays in check, because if this guy runs around the map with a Mercy Pocket unchecked, then fights like this are going to happen. He's just going to wrap around you, he's got a double rocket you, and things are going to be bad. And we see that in Monk dropping early that fight. Parakeet God can just kind of do whatever he wants with the Mercy running around the map.
He's being given a ton of space and a ton of play, and we're going to see Levi swap over from that SOH after that OC pop found minimal value onto the Echo, something that we've seen him playing a ton and getting a ton of value out of. So now we're going to be looking to see what this play looks like.
And this is peculiar, as I'm not sure why they didn't start with something off this from the rip if they believe that the Pharah is going to be such an inconvenience towards them, because Echo is amazing at dueling Pharahs out of the air.
And we see that Kitsu pop, but not a ton of players on that. Maybe potentially a Fat Finger, or potentially a more for this late round push that we're seeing right there with Monk popping the visor, getting a ton of just pressure put on. But Parakeet God investing the ult, finding two, and getting the trade on Monk, but will ultimately go down. But it's going to be the side of Akron-Stem that are able to win out the team fight here. Potentially getting the full 5 kill. Looks like they're hunting for the side of Levi, and Levi is just going to jump
off the map. It's a tactical reset.
Yeah. Looking to get with the rest of his team, looking to get a final kind of fight here. And now Parakeet God
finding Monk early yet again.
Yeah, he's just applying so much pressure. And
between him and Tommy Boy Ohio just being able to pressure down the front line, it seems like Akron is having a very hard time trying to break through into this and really focus down.
They're not just having a hard time, they aren't finding answers. The only time that they broke through was when they invested, I think, 2 ults, and it was like a bare breakthrough. It barely got them any pressure because they broke through and then instantly got a response. They had a little bit of a tick I want to say that was like mid-round, and that was from them just finding a lot of good fights, but Barberton just came back with their full 5 and just rolled Akron-Stem. Now we're going to be seeing a little bit of the fallback. Apparently they've found potentially some secret sauce to actually start getting these breaks and start finding that pressure that we need to see. With 5.5 minutes left, it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle. Not necessarily just the amount of distance they have to cover, but also what they're going into. With triple ults for the side of Barberton and actually triple ults for the side of Akron-Stem, we're going to be looking towards a great big team fight coming up soon.
But Levi opening up with that Reaper kill does buy them a lot of time and almost secures another one. Actually does secure another one, is able to swing on here, and now that they're close to the forward checkpoint, they can take this fight aggressive now. Said, we can let you kite one time, but now we're going to go in and get the stagger kills. Because this is how they want to take back the space and make their time as impactful as possible to try and get as close as they can to that lead.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the pressure that we're finding out from Levi, again, the swaps here from Akron-Stem are something that I question. Barberton has a kind of a ideology of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we're seeing that a lot, especially spectating Tommy Boy here. He's got the ult online. He's looking for some sort of pop on it. And with a big number of people here, he might just be getting barrel stuffed. But the Anai coming out from the side of Funeral, and Tommy Boy able to find one and gets the confirm from Parakeet God. It's something where, going back to what I was saying, is we see it played out right there. Barberton has a very simple ideology of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we've been seeing that a lot with Tommy Boy staying on the Reaper, with Parakeet God kind of getting leeway to swap around how he wants. But we don't see swaps quite as often as the side of Akron-Stem, where we've been seeing almost 3-4 character swaps every map from both DPSs. They've been playing incredibly flexible, and it's something where I question how much value that's going to be getting, because we look over to the side of Barberton, who on points like this especially are able to not only just put up a great fight, but even win in some cases, where they're just playing what their players seem comfortable on.
And it really seems like maybe that Akron is hurting a little bit, as that fight where they were so close to the barricade lead, they still had 3 ults in the bank, and maybe not going fast enough or playing confident enough has come back to bite them a little bit, as now it's all the way flipped, and Barberton has found even more success through their push.
Yep, and Parakeet God is just still being given pure leeway with the Valkyrie popped here from the
Ooh, a very good deny on the red side.
A nice deny and a nice secondary from Levi to get that confirm even. So we're going to be looking at a potential cleanup here from Levi, putting a ton of pressure onto Parakeet God, and is able to get the finish, getting a little bit more of a stagger onto this point. And Akron-Stem has to rally back a heck of a lot of distance if they want to close this out.
But if you're in the position of Akron here, you need to be able to start swinging tempo into your favor. You can't keep taking these back and forth fights and be content with them all the time, because at the end of the day, you're down time and they have the lead. And the kill onto Funeral may start that out, as Monk is being opened on almost every single fight. Tommy Boy Ohio just going on these crazy wild flanks and just finding infinite value, it seems.
Yep, and it's something where we're seeing it right now. It's something that we're going to keep talking about for as long as this game goes. It's the necessity of momentum, in especially even a game mode like Push. It's something where it's almost completely momentum driven, and we're not seeing Akron-Stem really able to get any sort of mojo going. They're able to win a fight, maybe push it to neutral, but then as soon as they get neutral or even slightly past approaching that first bend, they just get torn to pieces.
That's because Tommy Boy is always looking for the proactive plays. As soon as they're looking to set up, he's already there. He's already killed 2 in your back line, and next thing you know, he's going to press Q into your entire team.
Yep.
I do say that the barrage comes out, forcing off the soldier off high, maybe. Parakeet will get the trade for Levi.
And we're going to be seeing the Mercy closed out from Own Dog. That Blossom is actually going to find one. I thought it was the Rockets killing the Blossom, but no, they actually killed the Ram in the backline.
Coming through a little late here, but even if you're on the side of Barberton here, 1 minute burning 2 ults for Rally. Rally can be an extremely impactful ultimate, and getting that out and forcing it so they maybe possibly don't have it in the last fight could maybe be game-changing here.
It's not only that they possibly don't, it's that they really are not looking like it. With 1 minute left, you can't really play the same way that you would with like an escort or a hybrid, where you would just die right now and play for the last 30. You have to play out for this final thing. And we're going to be seeing Monk getting a little bit of pressure here and there from that ult, almost killing Parakeet God. It's sitting on literally 1 HP. And so much value coming out from Monk, but just they aren't really getting any sort of confirms. It's now going to be the pressure that's applied from Levi that really acts as the tip of the spear. Finding 2, popping the Anai, able to get a lot of pressure with the 3rd and the 4th.
And it seems in the very last few seconds here, Akron finally able to find some footing, and if they can secure some kills in the next 10 seconds here, that might be their victory.
Potentially a rally back from Akron. It would be another amazing game coming off of the Saravasa win where Stem had to rally back and take the point over at the last moment. But it's going to be Funeral finding limited value on his ult, but as soon as I say that, he gets off, but he's going to force C9. Or almost. They're able to... He has received that play in our series so far, and he's been getting so much value out of these Reaper ults.
Being able to wrap around, playing like a super strong assassin is kind of a throwback playstyle. It brings me back to the old days of Overwatch 1, where you would nano Reaper ults Beyblade in like Season 2. The good old days of flanking Reaper.
Yeah, the good old days. It's now a tied series 2-2, and normally we would be talking about map 5, our final map, our series closer, but no, we're in this for the long haul. We're going to map 7 here. This is a full best of 7, and this is looking like we are going to get that full 7 maps, and I am excited.
Being that we are tied up 2-2, it's a very large possibility that we could bring 3-3, get all the way to a map 7.
A map 7, and the interesting thing about map 7 is it'll be a control rollback. So it'll be
we have to play
interesting
2 more controls after, and it seems like the next pick that we have is going to be Shambali.
Shambali Monastery here for the side of Escort. I have some opinions on this map.
Do you?
They are not good.
Not
I'm
good.
gonna be honest. I don't like playing defense on this map. It's not even just point 1, because point 1 is not great, the rollout times, but that's kind of how Escort maps go. Your rollout on point 1 is not going to be great. It's point 2 that I don't know what it is about it. I just do not like it. That cave like double wrap, I never feel comfortable playing on it, no matter what role I play, whether it's deep, support, tank. I just never feel like I can find like a mojo or find like a real place to sit, you know?
Well, it is a little funky with my experience playing in tier 3 with a funny one-trick team. On first point, setting up a Junkrat in the green room has found us very much success. And this has become one of our favorite maps, at least of the newer Overwatch 2 ones, because we're able to super stable on there, play on a corner with Ramatra, and sometimes it feels almost unbreakable.
That is fair. That is fair. I will say having a junk one like Bill's your junk, yeah?
Yeah, shout out to Bill TF2 on
I was
Twitch.
going to say Bill TF2. That man is a maniac.
He's a specimen that makes miracles happen.
Yeah.
Especially now, Junkrat in this season, it's a little rough.
It's shaky at best, man. It's shaky at best.
There's no really patching that up. It's not a little rough. It's just quite terrible.
It's yikes. It's yikes to say the least. We are going to be seeing the side of Barberton starting on our defense here. It's a rollback to, I want to say, our Escort, or our hybrid Eichenwald. And we're going to be seeing, this is a interesting team comp selection coming out from both sides. We're seeing the importance of the Reaper play getting now picked up by both, with Tommy Boy Ohio and Levi on that. And we're going to be seeing, along with that, a Soj mirror with Parakeet, God, and Monk. Looking over towards our supports, I think this is going to be kind of bog standard for both these teams. Both of our Lucios on Lucio, our Moira on Moira, and our Grilled Cheese kind of just filling that last. And we're going to be seeing the return of the Funeral on Sig.
Now, this is something I'm excited to watch about, especially with the Sojourn. I feel like we haven't seen a lot of Sojourn in this series yet, and I'm excited to see what these DPS players can whip on crack. But Funeral back onto the Sigma. This is a very strong Sigma map.
It is a very strong Sigma map. We're going to need to be seeing some great things to justify that swap back after so much time off of the Sigma. We're going to be looking towards this first corner, which is going to be the first real big test for the side of Akron-Stem. Parakeet God sitting up high, getting a ton of value, but unable to really confirm anything.
Forcing out the Suzu with just the rail, though, may give them an opening that they're looking for here.
I was going to say, could have given them a dive. I think it's been long enough that Suzu can be back online, but definitely something to look out for. If that rail is forcing it out, it's something where those dives can be called a lot faster, especially if you know that they're going to be dropping their Suzu at the drop of a dime.
Looking to play for the punish there, and I'm quite surprised, actually, to see Akron kite as hard as they're kiting. In these kind of open, brawly, scrappy fights, they usually favor the Orisa team.
They really do usually favor the Orisa. Levi able to get a little bit of back cap here, and although it looked like he was going to drop, the repressure from the sides of Akron have enforced this fight and made it so that they can get even more space and even more pressure onto this cart. Coming towards the first cap point, it's looking like Barberton is looking for some sort of bring back, but this is going to be a change of pace. We're going to see Levi with his Reaper ult out first, and it's looking like he's going for a pop. It's instantly going to find one, not quite able to get the second, but it's going to be giving them enough pressure that Akron-Stem is able to get that
They're
first
able to receive the cap.
Yep.
As Tommy Boy is just on the hunt for any sort of cleanup here.
Yep. It's a good rewipe. It's going to be giving you a little bit of stall. However, at this point, it's not going to be doing you a ton of value with Akron-Stem's respawn right there and your respawn getting pushed so far back. It's going to be important that we see the fights coming out and the fights starting to be won by the side of Barberton because of this second point. This is where, like, this is the point that I talk about the most because I dislike it the most, mainly just because even from both sides, it just feels weird and uncomfortable, I think is the best way that I can describe it. When you're on that defense, that rollout from your respawn is going to be so long, so something like a very aggressive push followed by the beat, something like this, is going to be forcing you so much because the rollout from Tommy Boy is going to be so long. It's not going to force him that Reaper is not going to be finding a ton of value. And even from the attack, some of these angles, even though Akron-Stem is just able to wash over them, this very easily could be just a get good problem from my part, which happens. But
it definitely seems like that Tommy Boy falling early there is letting Barberton just give up all the space. They'd rather fight for this long corner in the open here. I feel for 5, matching out the beat. Maybe Tommy Boy can look for a massive ult here. Will force out the Suzu and force 3, get him low, and will only trade 1.
He will only go 1 for 1. But Barberton is able to kind of pull the trigger on that, able to move in, is able to find 2 more, leaving Levi as the sole one left for Akron-Stem here.
The lone survivor.
And he's looking for maybe some sort of escape.
Will get the exit on Funeral.
The exit on Funeral, I was going to say, might have been something, but with Morb finding 2, it looks like they're going to probably reset to a relatively clean or full clean fight.
Possibly a fat finger on the end of Morbo here.
I think it is a fat finger. I don't know what else you would be looking for at that point. Maybe some last minute healing, but why not just use, Biotic in your orb? But, it is what it is. It's a pop, so they need to figure out exactly how to work around it. Part of how they're going to work around it is that Monk is going to use this opening and go for something. Tommy Boy Ohio getting dropped early. Funeral just in the skies. His orb is going to collect a little bit. The Vortex able to get some, but Monk is able to find people through the lines, through the trees, and will be able to pick out more and more, getting Funeral right above the head of Parakeet and even popping Parakeet right along with it.
And it's really curious to see them give up that space like that, especially on that last touch there. I feel like they would have wanted to make a more stable fight since the attackers would be coming back from such long respawns.
That is true. That is true. We're now going to be looking towards Akron-Stem on this final push with 3.5 minutes left. This is great time for especially this map.
3 ultimates in the bank as well. They have lots of time to play this really however they would want to.
3 ults in the bank with only really 1 being able to be popped by the side of Barberton, and it will have popped and gone and found minimal, if any, value. It's going to be a battle of the Reapers here with Tommy Boy finding 2, Monk able to find 1, but Tommy Boy getting the respawns onto Levi, getting a ton of pressure. It's going to be Dr. Washboard trying to find some sort of pick onto the Reap. It will not be found, and Dr. Washboard is able to find a ton of value here from this Kitsu, but Tommy Boy jumping back in with the ult is able to find 2 and is able to stabilize the fight for Barberton. The invest of the Co, I question. It's a little over ambitious, especially with how much was left. But
and it's a little bit scary there on the side of Barberton having to force in on so many ultimates that fight.
It leaves you with only 1 in the back pocket, and you don't know what the ult economy for the side of Akron-Stem really looks like. Monk is pretty close. Levi is pretty close. Dr. Washboard is a little bit closer, and the 2 support ults are going to be a ways away. But you really don't know what you need beat to save for, and the beat pop is going to come out very fast. The response of that is just going to be a pressure applied with Monk going down. Own Dog able to get the response, but Tommy Boy going the 1-for-1 on the Reaper. And now it looks like Akron-Stem is going to get forced back. Going to have to play for another day. Parakeet God finding so much value on the Soj. Oh my god.
And Barberton here kind of just being able to swing around and swarm on the side of Akron here. They're not really giving them a whole lot of room to breathe, to be able to force point or take meaningful space, because you have Tommy Boy flopping around on the side, and then you have the Sojourn on the other angle taking these fights on you. You're taking damage from 4 or 5 different angles.
Yeah. And it's impressive to see, because I thought that the ult might have been a fat finger from the side of Angel. It seemed like there wasn't much that he was responding to, but the response was actually premature. It was more just for them to find a lot of value going in. Parakeet God finding the side of Monk, going 1-for-1 on the one who's playing his not only his own role but his own character, and it's a cleanup from the side of Barberton. Oh my god.
And beautiful OC shots. The only ultimate they needed that fight. Just everyone from Akron lining up in that small hallway, just rail after rail after rail. It's so much damage that they can't cut away from.
And even though there is 4 ults on the side of Akron-Stem, it is not looking great. 45 seconds left with the Anai and the Reap ult sitting in the back pocket along with Co. Almost here. It's at 92, and it will very easily be here, and a beat can realistically be on the docket here. I mean, a little bit of a ult here.
What a nice boop from Angel to completely deny the ultimate value from Levi.
A massive boop. The Orisa ult is going to be coming out, but it's going to be finding really nothing. And this Ram ult has been up for what feels like forever. And it's the clean with 2 left. They need to survive, and they need to get a last-second touch.
The string on it will just be Own Dog left to touch. 5 seconds left, but he will fall, and they will not be able to proc the OT touch.
It will not be there. This is another start from Akron, from the side of Barberton, that looks very promising. But here's the thing. We've been exactly here before.
We have been in these situations, and it's been happening all day, where we see a team and they push it pretty far. Not quite all the way throughout the map, but pretty far. And then we get to the other side when the sides are flipped, and it's a blowout. It's a full hold, and we've been seeing a lot of that today. And the question is, will they be able to break through? Or will they be able to hold up? And this is an important map. This is going to be an important map to break up the 2-2 tiebreaker right here.
Yep, it's going to be putting you onto series point, and we've got some swaps on both sides. It's going to be the side of Barberton going back to that pharmacy combo, but with a Hanzo pickup for the side of Tommy Boy.
I think the Hanzo is very interesting. It offers quite a bit of stability instead of going for the crazy Reaper flanks, and that's maybe something that Akron isn't quite expecting. We haven't seen it yet this series, so maybe it catches them off. But another thing to draw attention to is Monk on the Soldier, maybe in preparation for the fact that they expect this Pharah.
I think they do, especially with how much damage it was getting before. And it looks like Akron trying to play a little bit of a sneaky play
He's
here.
a little sneaky, trying to hold close, maybe just burn time off. I kind of like this.
Oh, and the TP from Tommy Boy. It looks like the Hanzo was only for the information, and it will actually turn out incredibly good for Tommy Boy. He's able to find one, but Parakeet, or he's not able to find one, but Parakeet God is able to get a ton of pressure, and Funeral is able to take out Monk. And it's looking like we're going to be seeing a lot of swaps coming out from the side of Akron-Stem. We're going to see Levi back on to that Echo, potentially for the re-engage timing.
And Dr. Washboard holding on for dear life onto the car, but it's not going to be enough. Maybe the close hold not finding as much value as Akron had really hoped for here.
Definitely not as much value as they would have hoped for. I think they would have looked to bleed an entire minute off being stalled, or just something where they could have played a very long team fight. They were set up there for that initial burst.
But getting closer to the 30-second mark, you have to wonder if losing that ult economy is worth that time or not.
Some of those invests were a little bit questionable, and some of the plays maybe could have been thought out a little bit more. But in a game like Overwatch, it comes down to that pace, and it comes down to what you can pull on the fly. And what we're seeing on the fly is we're seeing Akron-Stem taking back this corner, taking back this space. Tommy Boy's flank is now known. He's been seen, and he's been spotted. So, Dr. Washboard
still committing to it.
Yeah, called that out to the team. I mean, even though it got noticed, he may not have been felt the pressure really, and just thought that it was unfounded. But Parakeet God finding
what a nice
two in
barrage
the
there.
back, Monk able to get the trade, but it is just a wash. Monk, all that is left, and just cannot find really anything.
I wonder if the Flux maybe overzealous, maybe unintentional. It seemed as if most of Akron was dead.
This feels like a very big game of button mashing and fat fingering.
Little mishaps. Maybe the nerves of the 2-2 are up, but Tommy Boy Ohio is going to TP up and find a very snag kill. That's going to make the recontest very hard here for Barberton.
A lot of damage put on, and Barberton is able to get that first point. They're able to find this more in Tommy Boy with the ult. But in the back line, he finds
it doesn't
one.
matter. He's still going to pick up the kill on Monk, and this is good tempo. They can find some staggers on here, possibly.
Yep. A lot of pressure being found out from Tommy Boy. He will not be traded, but Levi will take down the Mercy. That is a lot of healing just to completely destroy. But Funeral here trying to make the best of what he can. He's going to get ended out by Own Dog. Grilled Cheese is able to find a little bit more, and it's a rally back from Akron-Stem that we have wanted to see.
And maybe a little bit of a miscommunication there, as the tempo was swinging in their favor with the trade of the tank there. But just a little bit of split, maybe a bit of poor target focus, really played to their detriment there. As we come up into this next fight, I'm really curious as to how Levi would want to use this copy, or Monk wants to use the visor here.
It'll be interesting to see how those two ults kind of pop up and how they sway the side of the team. It's going to be a duplicate onto this Sigma, something that I kind of could have expected, and something that I feel like we've been seeing a lot of, especially with Levi. Levi's been performing incredibly well on specifically this dupe in particular because he's gotten it so much. And just like that, it's team wipe. It's a little bit over-invest, honestly. Monk popping that visor there, I don't know how much necessary that was. I think it was good for the confirms, but I do kind of question what that'll mean for long-term, especially with this Valkyrie coming out. Could be in this next fight, and Parakeet God having that ult up.
But I do think on the side of Akron, though, this is kind of a point that they want to hold for realistically as long as they can. It's indoors. It's really hard for the Pharah to find extreme value. See, even with that barrage, just the risk of being able to eat everything, swinging with the beat, going in onto it, it's not going to find a whole lot, as a lot of ultimates are popped here. A crazy amount, just Q after Q after Q.
A lot of ults, a lot of pressure, but it seems like Barberton is going to be the one that's coming out on top with the little bit of confirms that they had, potentially the pressure from the double ult there of the barrage into the Blossom, into the Co was enough to break the backs of Akron-Stem. And as we move towards this final point, this is something that you were talking about where Akron-Stem wanted to get that second point hold. They now need to get this third point hold, and this is significantly harder to hold against the side of a Pharah. With so much opening, especially on that back corner, this is something where they're going to be able to find so much value.
And it feels like possibly an early flux, but Barberton is still being able to hold strong, killing all the trickles onto point.
A potentially early flux, but a good flux to confirm. And now we're going to be seeing some swaps coming in from the side of Akron-Stem going into this final point. Monk getting put back onto that cast. They want to close this out, and I think they're relying on the clutch factor of him. And Levi getting put onto that Solj, not wanting to compromise on the potential debuff value that he could bring. This is going to be something that's very interesting to watch, as we haven't seen a ton of Levi playing this hard DPS. We've been seeing him playing a lot of these flexes, these ones that have hit scan elements. We've never been seeing this full hit scan.
And you got to think, going back to comfort is something that you probably need to do here, because with all of those ults, Tommy Boy and Parrot God combining together, you kind of expect that to happen. Going in, no ults against the ult bank of the attacking team, you have to rely on the comfortability of these picks.
And this is going to be something where never mind, Levi is going to be able to get a touch, but he's instantly going to get shut down, and that is going to be the lead for Barberton going into Game 6. A potential closeout here of 4-2, and Barberton completing the run of taking down all of the teams that were seated above them except for number 3. They'll have taken down the 4 seed, the 1 seed, and now the 2 seed, potentially securing their spot as the top Northeast team coming in to States, which will be happening in Akron in, I believe, about a month at this point.
Believe that to be correct. And now we will wait on the next map, Pip, which could be ending, could be dragging on through the series, but it's going to be another payload.
Another payload? Is it a hybrid or an escort?
Or no, we just played payload. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. We're playing control.
Oh, okay. I thought. Oh, yeah. Because hybrids are Game 7. The Oasis call is going to be coming out from the side of Barberton, I believe that was. I could be very wrong. It might have been Akron-Stem, actually. It is going to be Akron-Stem. I'm going insane.
It's been a long day. I think we're all going a little crazy.
Everybody's tired. We got to do it again tomorrow. But this will be interesting to see. Going back to Control, this was a map where we saw Barberton really start the series out on the right foot, getting that win in round 1, even though it was tight, even though it was a little shaky, or actually very shaky on market, them able to get that confirm early in the series and potentially closing it out on the same side is something that I would call as a very good side. Because also, when you look at the storylines, this is a map that they've won. And if Akron-Stem is able to rally back, Barberton now has to break Akron-Stem's hold on a hybrid. And with this newfound pharmacy combo that has just been tearing through Akron-Stem, they have not found a good response. This is something where we would have to see not only a shift up in how Akron-Stem is playing, but we'd also have to see them overcome this massive hump of the pharmacy.
And I wonder if the decision to pick Oasis here lies in the fact that Akron-Stem loves the Queen comp.
They do.
And Oasis it's a solid map for the Queen comp, and they've seen success throughout the games today that this has been a map that they're quite dominant on. And as to if the pharmacy will propose any challenge to that will be a testament to this game. But going into this, I think that is some of the reasoning. They want to swing back their tempo, get back to playing what they're comfortable at, playing in a style that they're comfortable at, and try and take control over this series leading into this map.
That is true. When they're down 2, and they need to get 2 in a row to rally back, you need to have the map that's right before it to be the one that is your not only incredibly strong, but also one of the ones that you are just able to lock in and start the momentum push, because you're going to be rolling into a potential Game 7 here. It's a long series. It's an incredibly long time to be playing. And with something like this, rolling into that final map of hybrid, potentially even getting a side choice, being able to play that aggro and potentially roll that into your hybrid, into your start, is going to be massive. Already starting out here on University with this lovely point here as our round one.
And the indoors one, this is, swear this is not scripted, this is not a fabled story, but University, arguably the best Oasis map for the Queen comp.
Arguably. And it'll be interesting to see if Akron-Stem chooses to take advantage of that start. We're seeing the comps revealed right about now, and what are we seeing?
And really opting to go with the Orisa here. And believing to pull out a pharmacy of their own. I guess if you can't beat them, join them is the mentality they're looking at here.
It's a pharmacy, but it's not... It's a very interesting pharmacy because it's a pharmacy with a BAP as the secondary healer and another aerial. It's the Echo coming out for the side of Akron-Stem. When we look over to the side of Barberton, it's a lot of the stuff that they were playing that round one on Lijiang. We're going to be seeing that Reaper. We're going to be seeing that Tracer. A lot of that stuff that was coming out round one is back. But Akron-Stem, this is where I question kind of their flexibility, or their flexibility that they've kind of set up for themselves. It's something where they've potentially set it up to be so flexible, but they aren't going to be able to show it.
And forcing out the lamp there early, it's going to be a testament to how well Tommy Boy is able to go on things with these flyers. He's not going to be able to shoot much, but Funeral just finding the back line, not even going to fight the Ramatra, he's just going to wrap around them.
And it's just going to be an easy clean for Barberton. 4 down, none dropped. Incredibly good health on everyone. It's a team kill. And we maybe look towards the side of Akron-Stem. I think they're going to play this one out with what they have. But if I was them, I would be looking towards a swap for map 2, or even try to after you give this one another good college try. Like, we haven't seen them play a lot of these projectile heavy comps. They've been playing one where they've always had a very hit scanny character in the back pocket. With the lamp getting busted out there, this is something where we're going to be looking towards that. Tommy Boy just sort of shredding through the back line.
Shredding. Already has the Death Blossom, and these characters should be flying 50,000 miles above this guy's head, and he doesn't care. He's still beaming them down with the shotgun, and we're going to see a very interesting props from Dr. Washboard over to the Winston. We're going to go into the Genji for more of a dive-ish instead of the fly, as it looks.
Ooh, we looked at Dr. Washboard. It's going to be swapping back to a lot of the things they've been playing before. The Orisa call getting brought back out. I think because it's that one thing that they've found that really antis the Sig. The jabs when he has that Vortex up is really something that has been finding them a ton of value. A missed jab there is going to be giving Tommy Boy so much space and so much value to play.
Just finding these Qs, finding these ults, this Sigma is just so oppressive at holding the space. So I wonder if it almost is necessary to go a dive or a more mobile tank so we can more efficiently take this space. I mean, the score, 82% to 0, it has not been great, as Monk finally swaps over to the Sombra to try and make something happen in the backline here.
And I think the interesting thing is how tight Barberton has been playing all of their series. They've almost always been coming from behind. There's maybe a few times where they've actually held the lead early, but we've never seen a start like this out of Barberton. This is a Barberton that knows they are about to win, and they're playing like it. They've got just full pedal to the metal. There is no stall. There is no stop. They are just going to run you over if you give them the chance. And that is going to be the first point for Barberton. A dominant performance.
And just like that, seeing the confidence spike on the side of Barberton, they found their groove. They found what works. They know that this Reaper can flank up and absolutely face tank. And if they're able to go on these pinches and play with the stability of their Sigma, Akron is really struggling to find the solution around this.
They really are. And something, if you want to talk about narrative, if you want to talk about storyline, you could talk about the rise and fall and rise of Parakeet God. We've been seeing him throughout this entire series kind of flexing around. His Tracer at the beginning was looking incredibly good, but then we looked to the Saravasa map. He had a massive misplay at the finals that could have given his team potentially a lead, potentially the map if he had played it well. But his Tracer kind of fell down. He swapped over to the Pharah and was finding a lot of value. And the Pharah here should be finding more value. As we see that swap over, we're going to be seeing that Pharmacy coming back out, playing to ante the side of Akron-Stem, even though they haven't even seen it. And
it's been a lot of back and forth, but they're sticking with what works. They've seen the success in this comp, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. And it's that change in mentality. It's that change in willing to go with whatever works. Not necessarily playing to the meta or playing to what they feel is going to ante it better. Whatever they can play better, they've been playing, and it's been getting them so much value. Tommy Boy on this Reaper, as we can see, has just been chunking through people. This tank is going to just get absolutely melted, and Monk is going to try to put up any fight that he can, but it's Monk against Tommy Boy, and Tommy Boy just has his number.
Too comfortable on the Reaper here. And something very interesting I want to point out is the backline of Akron doing something I don't think we've seen at all in this series of Ana Brig.
We haven't. We've seen the Brig, but I don't think we've even seen the Ana at all in this series, not even just from Akron-Stem. I can't think of a map where we had a ton of antis and stuff, and I kind of wonder if the Ana is getting brought in to supplement a healer that OW2 can play comfortably, but that also can help deal with that Pharah being that hit scan when scoped. It's something that potentially could be providing a lot of value. Parakeet God, though, is not caring. It doesn't matter if you bring out a character that is built to anti him. He's just going to find value as he continues to chunk through people. Tommy Boy is going to find another onto Dr. Washboard, and it's a 36-0 lead.
Again, this problem with the Reaper being completely unchecked. At this point, what are you relying on? Is it just Monk to be able to match the Reaper? Or I feel like there's just no answer for Tommy Boy and his silly shenanigans, just being able to walk around the map and kill so many people.
He's finding so much value. He's finding so much space. There's no response that Akron-Stem has found that has consistently worked. The ways that they've been able to win has been through strikes of brilliance, and has been through Akron-Stem, or through Barberton, not playing into this comp. But as soon as they play into this comp with their whole heart, they just start melting. Exactly like we saw there, Parakeet God getting the pick onto the Brig, Tommy Boy finding another pick onto Monk and forcing everyone out, Own God getting killed, and Dr. Washboard is down. It's a 75% lead for the side of Barberton, and it's only getting bigger, and they're just playing completely unfazed. There's nothing that Akron-Stem can do. There's no backline that they've pulled. There's no pop. Levi going for this ult, going for a panic option, gonna get caught in the flux and dies. Dr. Washboard finding something, and Monk able to get a little bit of a response, but it's 92%. I don't know if anyone from Akron-Stem can touch. I am sorely mistaken. It's going to be Monk on the point, able to find maybe a little bit of value, but Tommy Boy, he has this ult.
With 4 alive soon, I believe they're okay with giving a little. They know that they're going at it in an ult disadvantage. They'd rather just take a fight where they can reorganize and play together back as a team and maybe look for something crazy with this Reaper Hele.
Absolutely, and with this Reaper Blossom sitting in the back pocket, it's going to be a scary prospect as he TPs up into the heavens. He's going to be looking for a backline drop. This Brig is going to pop the rally instantly in a response. A very good play out of that Brig, but I don't know how much it's going to matter because we now see the brunt of the aggression from the side of Barberton coming out. It's going to be Tommy Boy looking for a heaven drop. Going to be popping the ult and is unable to find much pressure from the front line, but Parakeet God is able to find pressure from the side and is able to put up exactly the fight that we want to be seeing. Parakeet God almost able to finish off Monk there. Another direct rocket would have killed the lead.
And picking up where Tommy Boy is lacking, these two are so incredible at pinching together. The communication on this team, they are always on the same target, looking at the same thing, with the same goal in mind, the same plan.
Yeah, and a little bit of a misstep actually gives Akron-Stem potentially another way back in. The not full cap give OW2 the time to cap.
That may be the time they need for a touch here, but with Parakeet God coming above with the barrage is a little scary, but Tracer does it with a touch.
Tracer's able to get through. They got a little bit of the stall in there, and it's going to be another touch from the side of Akron-Stem, and they're putting up a lot of pressure. I think it's going to be the ult from Monk, able to find a lot of pressure. Tommy Boy is going to be taking out Grilled Cheese and finding another. It's going to be the rally back. There's one man left on site. It's OW2. The Lucio is going to get finished, and there is no time. Barberton takes the win 4-2.
That will be the wrap. What an absolutely dominant performance on Oasis.
What an amazing series to watch. What an amazing series to call, too. That's the great thing about this.
Again, Tommy Boy coming in here with a crazy play, just absolutely dominating with the Reaper character here.
I would put up in contention for MVP. If we're going to give an MVP to this series, I think it would be Tommy Boy. The amount of value that he was able to find with that revolt was...
The amount of solo kills he was able to get as well, just going on these flanks, finding these kills.
It was simply unmatched.
Much value.
There was never anything that Akron-Stem could do. They were fighting. And then it's, oh, hey, our entire backline is dead out of nowhere. What happened? Oh, the Reaper just ran behind us. Cool, whatever, all right. Like,
and the speed at which he was able to make these plays as well too is very admirable, and that's something you could see that was being communicated within the team as well. Because when he would go for those plays, the tank would pinch and peel for him, as Lucio was going in for his speed on him. Paragon also coming in and pinching with him for those angles, just farming the damage, making sure he can secure those kills, getting the value, even if he gets traded, even if he has to fade out. His team is with him 100%, making those plays and creating those openings.
I think the entirety of the moral of today, or the real show of what these two teams were, is this was a clash between raw skill and coordination. The shots that the players from Akron-Stem were hitting were not simply not being matched by the side of Barberton. But the coordination on the side of Barberton and playing that more brawly comp, playing those off comps with the Pharah, with the Pharmacy being played, with Tommy Boy staying on that Reaper and finding insane value, just was not being matched. Akron-Stem's coordination was simply not up to par to brawl with the side of Barberton, and it's why they were able to roll over so many teams. Again, Barberton is the 5 seed coming out of the Northeast region. Akron-Stem is the number 2, and Barberton had to beat the 4 and the 1. Akron-Stem was able to take out the 3, which is an expected victory, but still, Barberton was able to show that although they're a 5 seed in terms of numbers, in terms of performance, they are nowhere close to chump change.
And what a series of games, too, to be able to be seated in that position and come here to the land and be so hungry for the victory.
Exactly.
You know you're going against these good teams, but with enough preparation, with enough determination, they were able to pull through, and towards the end, they looked dominant. They found their flow. They locked in. They were able to carry it along in, and they took the bag home.
They really did. I think one of the other things that's really impressive to look at this series and look at is how adaptations were treated by the two teams. And obviously, I can talk about both these teams for days and days on end, but I think the long and short of it is that Barberton's adaptations where they found a method that worked and they stuck with it. Akron-Stem was finding bits and pieces that worked, but they never were able to put a full idea together. But I think the other thing was they had a issue that I actually have dealt with similarly with some teams that I've worked with, where they will find an issue that gets you, or a play that will get you 90% of the way there, and that 10% maybe is just individual skill. Maybe you got gapped on a play, maybe there's an ult that you didn't track, but instead of re-going for that 90, they'll try something else. And they were very prone to trying new things. I think Akron-Stem, their DPS probably had, maybe 4 swaps every map or something like that. They had an insane amount of flexibility. And if that flexibility works and they were able to show that, that's an insanely valuable team to have. 2 DPS that can just swap around like that and have no real hard set roles is massive. But they were never able to find a pure flow that worked. And it was always interesting to see how they tried to fit it in, where it felt like Monk was trying to play a lot of flexes when we saw a lot of his prowess coming off of that hit scan. And maybe it was because they were playing so close from Barberton that he felt that his hit scan was not able to get as much value as they needed. But they definitely needed it to deal with that Pharah, especially as we got later into the series, and especially on that Oasis map.
But at the end of the day, I really do hope that all the teams that showed up today are walking away feeling good about how they placed today. We saw some incredible Overwatch today, and that's from every single team today, not just the finals, not just the last 2 matches. Every single match that we had today was super competitive, filled with a whole bunch of energy, and the vibes were just amazing. Today was really just amazing to see all of the energy, all of the talent, all of the hard work and dedication that's been put in going into this room over these last few hours. And we really do and hope that you guys have been enjoying these streams, because these players have put in a lot of work to produce this for you guys.
Yeah, we're really hoping that we were able to show and bring our talents to this stream to really show why these players are here. These are some of the best that the high school scene has to offer, and these are your next players for collegiate. Whether they come play for us or they come play for another team, or they even go up into those higher registers and divisions, this is where a lot of that starts. And your willingness to tune in and your willingness to watch has been amazing. It's also been amazing for me personally, as someone who, being a freshman on campus, I went through this structure 2 years ago and last year, and I will be doing a lot more of it tomorrow because we're going to be doing Val, which is my main game. But being able to work this as an organizer, kind of see the process that has to go in to get this all set up and the emotions that are able to come out when you watch it has been immaculate, because I've never been able to really step back and see it as an oversight perspective. I've always been, in the thick of it. The matches are going, you need to get locked in, you need to get ready. So being able to kind of step back and still be with the chaos, but be more in like a funneling position has been amazing to do. And I've also had a joy casting this game, and I know I'll have a blast casting all the games tomorrow. So yeah.
Tomorrow will be another really exciting, jam-packed day for all you Val hounds out there. I expect the same, maybe even better quality of games from the Val scene there. But Overwatch is definitely my jam, and the games today, I could not have asked for more.
I couldn't have asked for more either. Being someone who plays it as a secondary, these are amazing to watch. I know mainstream tomorrow will be featuring Valorant pretty much all day from sunrise to sunset. We're going to be having games rolling all the time here. And if you want to hop over to our B stream, BWU Esports 2, we're going to be having Rocket League going at the same time. We're going to be having a lot of great carball action on there. I know we're going to be having a lot of great casters on there. A lot of great people from our school are going to be over there giving you the exact lowdown on what is happening. But I want to say that's all from us. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, not even just for this game, but over the course of the entire day, whether you've been supporting us here, you've been supporting the second stream with Smash, or you were watching earlier just for the Fortnite. I want to thank you all for tuning in. You've made this event exactly what it has been so far. And we still got another day to go. So we're going to head out for now. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you around.
Peace.
Peace.